And I don't remember, if it was the night before he was talking to me that day, or anyway, it hadn't been too long since he had had this dream. And he said, I've been praying since I heard about the Arca of the Covenant that the Lord would let me see what it looked like. I just had a real burden to see what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I had this dream, and I was in this chamber in this dream. And he said, and the Ark of the Covenant was right in front of me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He said, however, the wall behind the Ark of the Covenant, and he described it perfectly,
What you'd say.
Right. And he said, I got so distracted by the colors and all of that of this rainbow that I did not zero in on the Ark of the Covenant itself. Mm-hmm. And he said, and the dream went away without my having had a good look at the Ark of the Covenant. Okay?
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a surprise, and a pleasant one, I might add, because it indicated that God, wanted people to, didn't mind people having a description of it at least. And at least this one fellow, and he didn't seem, shall we say, more unusual or different than anyone else, or several other people that had asked. Did seem to be an honest guy and all of that. I think he could have made that description without having seen it. But, there's no way he could have. So, anyway, at that point, I said, well, just be grateful that you got to see inside the chamber. That I'll verify that that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But then I said, I guess we probably ought to do something to give a general idea of what the Ark of the Covenant looked like. So at that time I decided to get Jim Pinkowski to work me up something,
Right.
And so anyway, back to the experience of when I got in there. Now, the light, the room has its own light since I made that entrance in, but it didn't happen until I had gotten inside the chamber and was standing on the floor of the chamber. And I did all my getting in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And so when things kind of lighted up, I was really shocked by what I saw. And that is, the place had been cleaned out, and that there were 4 people in there. Mm-hmm. And so basically, I was going to ask, what are you doing in here? Because I'm the only person I knew of that had a permission or the right to be in there.
Yeah.
And at that point, apparently I became aware of my physical conditions altered to the point that I knew I was in the presence of angels. That these were not just people.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. And so, anyway, at that point, and this, you basically just keep in mind that I was very, very stunned by the whole thing.
Right.
So the one angel talked to me and briefly said that they had been watching over the Ark of the Covenant ever since Moses had put the tablestone in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that God wanted everyone to see this
Yeah.
at a particular time. And so anyway, he told me to set up my
Your video camera.
yeah, I set that up on the tripod, and which by that time, it kind of drummed into my head. So, you usually got a better picture if you use tripods. So anyway, I set this all up and aimed it at the Ark of the Covenant at that point. I turned it on and went on, and the angels, one took a corner of each of the Ark of the mercy seat.
Yeah.
And lifted it, and when the one angel that talked with me said, take the stone out of the Ark of the Covenant.